There are several things that you should share with your members before, during, and after a storm strikes your service area. Now let's talk about what you should post during the storm. I'd recommend sharing initial reports, letting folks know the number without power and the cause. Talk about your expected restoration time. I know that's always a little hard for us to talk about, but the members really want to know what they can expect. I would recommend padding it a bit. But you also want to set their expectations, let them know when the next update's going to come. And I would encourage you, we've got some great examples, to focus on the number of members restored. It's a very powerful way of changing the story during a storm. Here are some examples of initial reports. I like this one from Central Virginia. This just in. It sounds like breaking news. A circuit out of the Cunningham substation is out of service, affecting 1,290 members. Crews will find the fault location, which is likely close to the substation, and make repairs. It's a simple update. You have an area, general area. You've got the number of members that are impacted. They don't have the restoration time yet, but you let your members know, hey, our guys are on it. They're going to take care of this. Here's another one from Como Electric in Missouri. Not a nice night to be out working on an outage, but crews are out restoring power to about 450 members in Sunrise Beach. Again, they gave the area and the initial number of members without power. And I love it. They're very nice over there. They say, thanks for your patience. Cloverland Electric had a great outage initial report, but it also includes their restoration time. Line crews are responding to an outage affecting approximately 1,700 services. They list the different areas that it's impacting. They give the cause, a broken crossarm located in a swamp. That's a great visual to kind of show what you're going to be dealing with, what your line workers will be dealing with. Crews are on site, and estimated restoration time, 11:30. We tell folks, remind them of your outage reporting number, how they can call in. But sometimes your phone systems will go down. We have seen a few co-ops that have had to deal with this, and it's not fun. Here are two examples, one from Prince George, the other from First Electric in Arkansas. And they both had problems with their numbers. For Prince George, their phone system was down, so you couldn't call individual people, but their outage number was still up. They just wanted to make sure folks knew what was going on. And in First Electric, their outage reporting numbers were down. I've seen some folks dealing with situations like this that will ask people to message them to report outages as a last resort. You normally do not want to do that on Facebook. You especially don't want your members to post where they live and if the power is out on your public side. But a few folks, if they have opted for members to send them personal messages on Facebook to be able to report the outages. And again, we want to set expectations. Make sure your members know during a storm when you're monitoring your account. Prince George Electric did a good job of doing that. They said, we're aware there's an outage. Here's our outage reporting number. Don't report it on Facebook. Our Facebook page is not staffed 24/7. You need to set that expectation from the onset. Let folks know you're not there around the clock. This is how you report an outage. I really like it during an extended outage. When folks say, hey, this is when we are stopping for the day, and this is when we're going to be back in the morning. Here are two examples after Hurricane Isaac in 2012. Point Coupee Electric in Louisiana said, hey, we're signing off for the night. If you're still out and read this, call the office, get on the cleanup list. So they just let folks know this was at 9 o'clock at night. Hey, we're going to be back in the morning. Coast Electric in Mississippi did the same thing on Facebook. April was tweeting or was posting for them, and she said, thank you, Facebook friends. I didn't sleep last night, so I'll be going to bed so I can be up and at it again in the morning. I will be answering posts and questions then. And folks love that. They just need to know when you're going to be there. It's fine to go to sleep. You are human, but let them know when you'll be back. And finally, I think it's really important to focus on the number of members restored. A good example is in Hawaii. Kauai Island Utility Cooperative had their entire system was out on the island. And so they were faced with a very daunting task of trying to get the power back on to everybody. Instead of focusing on the number of members who were without power, which was everybody, they focused on the number of members who had had their power restored. And it started out very simply, 15% restored, 30% restored, etc. And it started building, and you can see a note from one of their members, Ruby. She started cheering them on, we can't wait till you get us back to 100%. You really get folks cheering you on, and they recognize what you've done already. Not that 800 people are still without power, but that you've restored 90% of your system. It's a great way to change the focus of the story. Rappahannock Electric in Virginia did the same thing during Hurricane Sandy, and I thought it was a great example. They said, as of noon, crews have restored power to almost 6,000 of our members. We're down to just over 11,000 outages. We're going to keep working. Thanks for your hard work and dedication. So they're focusing on the folks that have had power restored, what your line workers have accomplished. They continued to do that throughout the storm. They said REC has restored power now to 84% of its members. That's over 13,000 members who have their power back on. Switch the story. Focus on what you have accomplished and celebrate that. And when they got down to zero, they did celebrate. We are at zero. Thankfully, all of our members have their power back on. Our crews and the assisting crews can safely return home to their families. 450 people liked that. They like celebrating your success with you. And that was a great way to focus on what your line workers had accomplished, not just what was left to do. So during a storm, think about your initial reports, the number without power and the cause. When you can, start sharing your expected restoration time. Set expectations for when you're going to be monitoring your Facebook or Twitter account, and focus on the number of members that have had their power restored.